Hi, my name is Mark Barrie. I made an amazing observation today. The internet has to be the most useful, useless tool in all of existence. I believe I've spent more time wading through visual crap online than writing the script to this video. Fortunately, after hours of scouring the internet, I found 3 videos that fulfilled the criteria for this assignment. That being said, the video presentations and blogs that I found useful were both persuasive and instructional. Traces of the 3 elements to a persuasive presentation were in all of them. Visuals were used, although not to the degree that we have learned in this course, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Lighting was mediocre to average in quality overall, and this seems to not be a priority to most online bloggers. Let's address these points more in depth about all 3 videos that I chose to review. The first video was The Shifting Sands of Evidence and Argument. This was a great example of persuasion, mainly because it was about persuasion and the role of logical arguments versus religious beliefs. Its ethical appeal was dependent on which side of the argument you were on. If you were very religious, then this was not a positive video for you to watch. On the other hand, if your arguments are normally more fact-driven, then ethically this video was for you. Emotionally, this video was very effective due to its subject matter. I feel that if you decide to address anything in regards to people's spiritual beliefs, you are bound to evoke an emotional response, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. Logic was one of the key points of the video. One of the presenter's main points was how logical and spiritual beliefs do not work well together when it comes to arguments. This, to me, again, is dependent on where you stand in terms of religious beliefs. If you are for fact-based arguments, then this came off as extremely logical. Visually, this presentation was annoying. It was Slidegement City, as far as I was concerned. Every quote that was presented had to be pasted on the screen like scraps from a newspaper. This could not have been any further off from Duarte and Reynolds' approaches to visual presentations. Visually, the pictures had no connection to each other aesthetically, as well as the fonts being disconnected from both the visual it was connected to and the overall presentation subject. Lighting and attire were not a factor due to the fact that it was only a narrative to a visual presentation. The second video was on an instructional report by Al Tompkins on how to create video blogs. Although the subject matter was not the most thought-provoking in the world, the overall persuasive nature of it was very well done. It aimed towards showing how easy it was to make a better quality video blog. The strongest persuasive technique in this was logic. The presenter showed how easy it was to obtain materials necessary to create a decent quality video blog. Emotionally, this was unique to the other 2 videos I viewed because humor was at the core of it. Al Tompkins' personality plays a large part in his persuasive nature. Anyone that can mimic these traits while presenting will be very effective in maintaining an audience attention. The presentation was done outdoors, so the use of lighting was good, considering the daylight conditions. His attire was professional casual. The visuals used in this presentation were more or less screenshots of the software he was suggesting to use. The quality was moderate, not following Duarte's presentation techniques, nor was there a theme that was carried through the visual presentation. The visuals could easily stand alone in the context of the presentation with no commentary, therefore not going with Reynolds' presentation Zen. My third video I viewed was by a clinical hypnotherapist named Steve Jones on a concept called anchoring. Ethically, this would only appeal to you if you were open-minded enough to try something involving hypnotherapy. Many people are not open to this process, so this presentation would only persuade a certain group of people. Emotional appeal was the strong point of this presentation. Who doesn't want to be more confident in a social situation? Who wouldn't want to be able to turn on their sense of confidence like flipping on a light switch? The logical appeal in this presentation was simple. Do this, and you can overcome any sense of social anxiety. Again, this would only appear logical if you were accepting to the practices of hypnotherapy. There were no visuals in this presentation, except for the use of his gestures and body movements to convey the techniques that he was describing. Duarte and Reynolds' techniques were non-applicable. Steve Jones' attire was professional casual with good lighting, similar to any well-lit webcam video. All 3 of these presenters did well in terms of getting their points across. Only 2 of them really maintained my interest. The video on shifting sands of evidence and argument was informative, but the tone of the presenter was a little boring and sarcastic. I felt as if he assumed everyone watching was sharing the same beliefs with him, and this made me lose interest. The other 2 videos had an element of passion to them, and this kept me interested. Passion, energy, and a sense of being genuine were three things that I felt the TED Talks that I watched possessed the most. The lighting in both videos that had visible presenters was decent. Their attire was professional as well. I think that poor lighting and attire does discredit a webcam presentation. I think this is psychological, because we are accustomed to many movies and shows that are normally presented in a professional manner, so when we see a webcam, automatically we judge based on the loss of quality. Anything that you can do to enhance this will help the credibility of your presentation. I think that the number one way to enhance a presentation is through delivery. For example, if a company needs to make a presentation, many times they'll hire someone to do it for them. If an artist makes a pitch to a label, they normally have someone else do the pitch for them. To me, this is even further proof to the hierarchy of elements that go into making a presentation presentable or professional. From watching videos by Duarte and Reynolds, I can honestly say that a well-themed and crafted visual presentation comes to a close second in terms of hierarchy. One basic thing that we can all agree upon is that the main goal is to communicate. If your audience walks away and your point has not been conveyed, you lose. If you succeed in helping your audience understand what you're presenting, then you win. Thank you for listening.